record. And let's go to Facebook stream. Let's see. Connecting.
All right. I'm going to try to send a message out of my phone.
Oh, hold on. Oh, here we go. Go live. Boom. Just checking. 1, 2. Waiting for this to kick into gear.
Ah, there it is.
And intro.
We're back. I like this hook. You got a book you want to tell us about? Well, let's talk. There's no other place to do it. Only on Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze.
Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George, the Dreamer, Medina.
And we have a very special show today. We have an originator, one of the original crew members, the man who created books with John, the poet, the writer extraordinaire, Jonathan the Psycho Syphax.
Where's the clap track right there that you have on the show?
Here you go, Jonathan.
I got the Jay-Z intro. The Jay-Z intro. I like that. The originator, the writer, all that going on.
What's up, John?
What's going down?
Up, yo, what up? We in the house. We doing the Catch the Craze. If you don't know,
now you know.
And now you know.
So it's been a long time. Oh, Johnny boy, the pipes are calling.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I was so excited, man, because I have some business to talk with you. You're my boy, my brother from another mother. I was like, I'm going to catch up. We're going to catch up on some hotness.
Yes.
The craziness is going on, so we back in the spot.
You scared me there. Whenever John says you're my boy, it's almost like
don't trust it fully. Don't trust it fully.
I got scared for a second. I was like, he goes, we got to talk business. I was like,
Hell yeah. This show was so anticipated. We came on early for you, John.
Early,
y'all my people. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, I was concerned that we weren't going to be able to get all the sounds and everything good, but you money. Look at you. You're coming in nice and bright. You got the shirt on. Johnny's looking dapper.
Yo, I'm trying, man. I was going to get the haircut. I couldn't get the haircut because there's no real barbers that could do a fade around here. But I did shave. I went up. First time I'm wearing this shirt for Craze. This joint sat in like 10 years in the closet. Clean.
It's crispy.
Wow. That was your birthday shirt. Wow.
Crispy. Look at that thing.
Wow.
It has folds in it. Look at that. That thing still has folds.
Check it out. It's color coordinated too. The brown. I'm color coordinated.
I like it.
Oh, snaps.
So what's happening, John? Talk to us, man. What you been up to?
So before you answer that, John, normally George and I do just give a little reflection on where we are today. I just want to say thank you to the 32 new subscribers to the podcast on YouTube, to our YouTube channel. In 28 days, we added 32 new subscribers. So we truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. You know, if you notice behind George the Dreamer Medina, it says 200 coming soon. So we're getting ready to celebrate our 200th episode of Catch the Craze podcast. And we will be going live in August. I think that's the 23rd in August on YouTube. So we're transitioning over to YouTube from Facebook in order to grow that platform. So we want to get to 200 subscribers by then. That'll be so amazing to be able to celebrate. We're going to have a lot of popping guests. We're going to have raffles and prizes and some great new announcements of what's to come with Catch the Craze. So that's the plug. Now we're on with the man himself.
Wait, you gotta do a pre-200 episode music, so I could do the pre-celebration Jonathan the Psycho Syphax pre-dance, man.
Oh,
the song.
wait, Jonathan, do you remember this?
Oh, well.
We make bling when you sing. Cha-ching!
Wow. Johnny, you...
That's what I'm saying. That's how we do it. I like that.
Remember that, George?
I like it. Dude, there were a lot. I mean, that clip, the promo that Sam made had a lot of that stuff that you guys did. And this was like just the two of you sitting in the basement, like, yo, what are we doing today? And just coming up with stuff.
Yes.
Look, I got a hat. Oh, I got a coat. Put it on. Let's see what we can do with this.
Jonathan,
John was born.
yes, that Jonathan pulled out the reggae. He's like, we got Ira. Say books.
I will give credit. The credit is due. That was Sam's genius brainchild. I just showed up, and Sam was like, all right, put on this jacket. I was like, all right, I'm going to look happy. I'll go with this. So I look good.
No, but the theme song, Jonathan, the theme song, we sat there, we just put record, and we ad-libbed. That scene, we didn't write it out. We just ad-libbed. We freestyled it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. There was
I got the accent down straight, dude.
Yes.
My accent impression is on the money. I'm not doing it now because that was a one-time moment.
You know what? Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to play the theme song for a second. Hold on.
Hey, man! Yeah, we got Ira.
I'm sorry. This is Books with John, and I will be reviewing today Mitch album for one more day. But every show we should start out with a little verse from some of the classic ones, the great ones. So we're going to go to Shakespeare and say a little quote which I was reading while I was dozing off. Reading while I was looking at my lecture. So, let us haste to hear it and call the nobles to the audience. For me, with sorrow, I embrace my fortune. That says it all, my folks. Okay.
This is some of the work that I edited on. And this was very good. The geniuses next to me created it.
Camera's ready.
And
Speaking of geniuses, the camera's right here.
Yeah. There you go, the gentleman here.
Good thing you're making comments. Anyway, go ahead.
Basically, what we also try to do with the Y is to try to create a foundation of storytellers for the next generation. A lot of times, the story is just as just as important of a point to the art in the book. So a lot of the kids, they feel their writing cannot go out there and be marketed, but a great story is a great story, and we want to encourage that for the children in the Y.
My name is Jonathan Syphax, one of the representatives of Craze Comics, and I basically do a lot of the editing and sales, promotional stuff, items for the company.
How you doing?
Besides street journals, are there anything else you're working on?
I got all type of shit. Really good, really excited, pumped. You know, I can't believe that we're kind of here a little bit, but it's coming on pretty well. Basically, what the story is about is about a kid named Tyreek who is trying to get out of an environment of abuse and start a new life for himself through his story. Podcast show. Come on. I am, but Sam got we are here at the podcast show. Going on down to the road. We're covering this house in the place, looking at house all over the place. Just to let you know, you gotta be here. Just have no fear. I messed up the joint. That's okay. We're at the podcast. The show,
Day 3 dance. Jonathan Syphax. Take 1, and that's it. That's all we got. Now we have a random guy back in.
Yes, that was your promo, and I think that was a beautiful promo.
God, dude.
George, how bad did it really look? Because I can't see it over there.
It was money, dude. Like, I even like the freestyle, like that freestyle that you guys had at the after party.
Yes.
You were doing the bebop.
Oh, yeah, that was
John threw out the freestyle. It was money. It was money.
That was the birth of lyrical style. You know that, right?
Yes,
it was.
You know, I couldn't find it for the show, and I was looking.
Dude, and I meant to send it to you. I couldn't find it either.
I know. So yes, it's funny because I had it on a link with the original website, but I can't find it. It must have been in that hard drive that crashed. But I also had a video at the Big Apple when Lyrical Style decided to challenge the Crazy Man to a rap off. It was at a con when you grabbed the mic at the convention and you said, and you threw the gauntlet out to create that battle.
You actually have that?
I have it. I couldn't find it on time for the show. I was looking and looking. It's on a tape. It's on a videotape that I had to convert.
Wow.
Yeah.
A videotape.
A videotape. Okay. It was on an 8-track. Huh?
Who won the rap off? Sam.
Huh?
Uncle Sam. Who won the rap off?
It was a tie. It was a tie.
I don't remember I think I remember John's because we did it with the beat to it was that song by Method Man.
Release It Down? No.
Release It Down. Yeah. That was the background beat. You had some other beat, right, Sam? You made your own beat or something?
I made my own beats, yeah.
Yeah. We sampled.
Yeah, I know. You guys were sampling trying to get some street creds.
George was my agent. He was my ace in the hole.
You had an agent. Didn't you have an agent?
Yeah, he had an agent. George was your manager. George was your manager.
I was like your manager, producer.
Yes.
Yeah.
The good old days, Johnny. The good old days.
Yes, remember? So bye, Mr. Lyrical Style. Remember that?
I don't remember one line that Style said. That's the problem. I got old up. Forgot all the lines.
You know what? Nah, dude, I wish I can't find it, bro. I wish I had it.
Yes, one day I'm going to put it all together because I have an archive. And I think that it's one of the things that's a kiss of death for anybody that's been around me. If I got you on video, I saved all that stuff. So I have I have everything.
Sam's got everybody on video except for himself.
Yo, Sam is like the J. Edgar Hoover of setting the guy up. You can't do nothing wrong with Sam. He got something on everybody.
It's Crazy Gate.
Yeah. It's all set up. It's all set up everywhere.
Anibal just joined. Let's see. So Omar joined. Anibal joined. Peter Wiggins. Thank you for subscribing. Peter from back in the days at Syphax. But yeah, so Johnny, it's been a minute. Yeah. Where have you been? Yeah. So people are asking me where have I been, but where have you been? What have you been up to?
They're like, forget me. They want to know about the Sam Crazy Man.
Nah. This is about you. This is your birthday.
So, I have a question for you, Sam. What is going on with Duty, man? You need to let the Duty out of the box. What's going on
he's there with Kleenex. He said, let Duty out.
You need to let the Duty out. I thought you were going to say something else. He said box. I'm like, thank God.
No. So I've been working.
I was being PC there.
Yeah, I'm working on Duty on the back end. I'm not going to release any promos for the new stuff that I've been doing for Duty until it's done. So I just want that second half done and then just release it as a big compilation, one big master book. Similar to what Jeff Smith did with Bone. So I just want to put in one big collected edition. So I'm working on that. And it's a slow process because of the Catch the Craze show. So trying to build this momentum, and we got 132 new subscribers on YouTube that are watching you, Johnny. All for you. I was like, yo, we gotta get Johnny on the show. We gotta break 100.
Please, y'all gotta subscribe so he invite me back, man.
Yeah.
If the numbers aren't high enough, he's like a dictator. He said, if the numbers not high enough, they give me no play. So you gotta back him up.
No play, but no,
I want to come back.
But John, I'm pretty impressed because you found a way to create projects, outsource, and get artists to work on your project. So I want to talk about your projects. I want to talk about you.
Okay.
So number one, what made you decide to go that route and go out and seek your own artists for your project?
Well, the main thing is I'm not going to try to draw because it's not my strong point. And if I spread myself too thin, everything else is going to suffer. So I was like, let me focus on the writing and get artists that are the best that I could get within the budget that I have to be able to put out the best work and fill the gap.
Okay, so you asked me about Duty. What happened to Street Journal?
I'm glad you asked that. We are actually doing a reboot, so to speak, or a remake, an upgrade of Street Journal, me and George. It's really going to a much higher level of, I think, a mastery level on the storytelling. And we just literally redoing the whole thing to be at a higher quality and higher gauge. And we really got some great stuff. It's not really the same story at all, which is I'm happy about.
Right.
And we're really getting deeper with the characters and the narrative. And one thing I have to compliment, I always say this, me and George are very passionate about our work. But George will not settle for just the base work of what I give. Like if I just agree with George,
right.
I'm getting reamed out. Like I can't just.
That's right, John. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, because George can be a little testy.
Dude, he will draw. You know what? I always say this with George. I say sometimes I feel like Goma Powell in Full Metal Jacket, and he's a drill sergeant, and I'm trying not to put my head on.
George is right here, you jerk. I'm right here.
Yo, John be getting snooty. You know what's funny? Yo, Jonathan, John, let's talk about this guy. Cause the guy with the worst memory, and I mean, we would have conversations. And I'm like, remember this? No. Like, but we could be in court, and I will get prosecuted because of his memory.
You better have that writing. You better have a video. But honestly, even with Sarah send me a text message. She sends me text messages. They're like encrypted, bro. I think the government is watching them. So he'll send me half a message, and I have to decipher what he meant. So I'm like, okay, you meant this, and then he's like, you got it. Thank God. I'm like, dude, I had to break the code, bro. I had to break the code.
See, even Adibel says George has selected memory. See, that's 3-1.
Yo, let's be honest. Let's keep it real. We all have selective memory. Let's be honest. We select memory when it suits us. I don't remember that. Yeah,
yo, but we're on live. And I'm like, yo, remember this? George's like, no. And I look like an idiot. I'm like, no, but you're no. I'm like, come on.
No, honestly, I do. My long-term memory is suffering. My short-term memory is too. But mostly, I'm better with the long-term stuff. Some stuff I remember. Some stuff, Sam, though, you remember the most obscure things, though.
That's because I have video.
Well, that's true.
That's because I have.
Watch that stuff like over and over.
George's like, no. I said, yeah, I got it on video.
He does get you on videos, man.
He does.
Sam will ruin a career before it starts. You make him mad. It's over.
Johnny, going back to what we were talking about.
About George.
Tell, like the audience, people who've never heard of the Street Journal. Tell people what the Street Journal is and how you came up with the idea. Take us back to 2000, and I think it was like 2000, right? 2001, something like that?
Yeah. Basically, Street Journal is about a young man named Tariq who, despite being in a home of abuse, is trying to start a new life for his 2-year-old daughter and the mother of his child. And we're seeing his story evolve through his journal inputs, through his journal entry. The actual way that the story came about, it was originally a play. And I started writing it as a play. I took a class in Mercy where I met George, and I said, hey, we met up, became friends, and I said, well, could you check out this work? And I was like, don't hold no punches. If it's garbage, tell me it's garbage. Just let me know. So just said, all right, I'll look at it. George comes back, reads it very quickly. I would possibly maybe even say in one sitting, he says, "This is great, man. I think you should fix this, put the input in that. This is fantastic." He gave such input that I said, "Well, you want to jump on as a co-writer?" Initially came in as an editor, I said co-writer. And he said, "Yeah, man, we could write this story." And from there, we had developed the story. Then we met up with Sam, the crazy man, Farrah. George introduced me to you. Said, "My boy, he has a publishing company with comic books." So he said we could get Street Journal through him. He cool dude. We brought it to Sam, and the rest was history. That was my first experience with an independent comic company, and Street Journal was off and rolling.
I have to tell you that when I saw Anibal's rendition of Street Journal, I mean, they were tight. I mean, he really captured the essence of those characters and the mood. And what's great about it, I still have some of that art. And I was going through it the other day, and I was like, wow, it really had some really good stuff. So what made you decide that you wanted to overhaul the whole concept?
That's an interesting story. I was, at the time, I had, and I don't really talk about this much, but it's part of the necessary answer to your question. I had lost my father. He was very sick, and over the course of 8.5 years, I literally, from the age of 14 up to 22, something on that order, watched him fall apart and die. And it really, really kind of messed my head up. It really kind of shattered my world. Losing my mother at 5, that was a double hit. So I really kind of fell in a very bad place, right, and kind of lost a lot of what I had behind it due to that kind of depression and stuff. So my last recourse to just stay sane, just to keep from giving up, was writing. And I said, well, you know what? I don't care how people like it. I don't care how people take it. I'm going to write a story from the heart, from what I know, of people I know, put my pain into this character, have his goals be similar to my goals in order to get out. And I'm just going to tell the story the way I am, where I like to tell it. And I'm going to try to do it in 22, 24 pages. And it's how Street Journal came about. And what I have learned from doing that is I have the best chance of telling the best story when I tell the story on my terms. I cannot write to appease people. It will never work. Not for me, not my style. It's just not who I am. And I have to tell a story true to what I have experienced or what I believe to be true. And you either take the story or you don't. If you don't like it, it's not for you. If you relate to it, then I did my job.
Right, but I think that's some of the best pieces of literature and art are because of the passion, because it has heart, because there was history behind it. There was depth. You know what I mean? So I'd rather you go that route than try to follow a trend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no.
But then that goes back to my original question. You created this, you were happy with it, but now you wanted to redo the whole thing and give it a different outlook. So what made you decide, hey, I want to revamp this?
Well, that was more feedback from a particular person that I had known, grew up with, named Andre. And I handed it to Andre, and he basically ripped it apart for his own kind of personal feelings about it. But one thing Andre said at the end of it is, I didn't feel as deeply for the character as I should have. It was interesting. You know, I had my personal feelings about the material, but I didn't feel...
I love it. I love it, Johnny.
Turn sideways.
Shoot.
That's right. High
Don't
five.
worry, Johnny.
High five.
Even if this happened on a show that wasn't live, it was gonna come out this way because there's no editing on the show.
I think he thinks it's the Maury Povich show or something. Jerry Springer. He said, Jonathan Syphax, you are the father.
he was saying too much.
Yeah,
somebody came to get him.
He saw the baby mama coming. He's like, oh.
Johnny, where'd you go? Holy cow!
What happened?
I don't know.
So,
But okay, so let me just piggyback on until John comes back.
Yes, please.
So the Street Journal, we never finished it. Like
Right.
we finished the script, the original script that we released, and I was looking at the book. We released it like the three issues. We released 3 issues back in 2011, and that's when we released 3 issues. But we never finished the rest of the story. So
Right.
we still needed to do 4, 5, and 6. And at that point, that's when he got with his friend.
Right.
And I guess he was telling the story about what happened. But yeah, then we decided to kind of just start it up again. Johnny's calling me. I don't know why.
Do I need to set up another invite? So we are live, folks. And we just lost Jonathan Syphax. So should I run a commercial while we're trying to figure out what?
Run a commercial.
We're going to run a commercial. So which commercial we're gonna do? You know what? Let's see. We'll do coffee.
There is no better way to start the day than with a cup of joe and an episode of Catch the Craze.
I'm so crazy, you so crazy, crazy. Who's the craziest? I'm so crazy, you so crazy, crazy. Who's the craziest? I'm so crazy, you so crazy, crazy. Who's the craziest?
We didn't even have anything backed up, ready to go, because we thought we were gonna have it for a whole hour.
Yeah, we didn't know that IRS was gonna raid his house. It's like,
his last words were like,
oh,
shoot.
That's all I know.
Goes blank.
All I know, he was talking about the streets, and the streets came calling. It's like knock knock.
He said it wasn't until my boy Andre was at the door.
He's like click click.
He's like, what you talking about? What you said about me? You talking crap, bro?
What's up, Joe?
Yeah.
Also, Joe Holly's on. What's up?
Yeah, Joey Crack.
We're trying to find. What happened to the Syphaxius.
Trying to find out what happened to John, man.
So you guys didn't finish the project as we're waiting for him, and then you decided you gave it a new look over, and you said, "Hey."
Yeah, so a lot of the book is still the same. It's just I don't know. I think that the ending is a little different, and we added depth to certain characters that were at the beginning of the story. That now there's a lot more depth to them now, especially the female leads. I felt like when Johnny first started writing them, the female leads were a little lacking, so to speak. They weren't as deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The mom, the mom, the girlfriend. Even one of the main characters, his girlfriend. So we added a little more meat to those characters, because there was a lot there, like the mom, like the character, her name is Sonia. We added a lot more to her background.
Right.
And we included a lot of her background in the book that wasn't in the original book. So we're writing, like today, I was talking to him earlier today, and we were writing.
Here he comes.
He's back?
Yes, admit him.
He's coming. All right, good.
I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
As soon as he gets in, we were actually doing some work on it today. So we're almost done with like the first draft.
Yeah, where's my book? What's forbidden?
Which one? Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're killing me.
No, you're pretty much done. You need to send me the original pages so I can.
Johnny, you alive?
That.
Yeah, Johnny, you alive?
There he is.
Oh, he's gone. He's there. He's gone.
John. We can't hear you, but you're back.
Hello.
John, you're muted. You're muted, John.
We can't hear you.
Your mic is muted.
Can't hear the words that are coming out your mouth.
Nah, he's got his phone muted. That's funny.
And now he's frozen. And now
he's frozen. Everybody's frozen. I'm frozen too on my screen.
You hear me?
Now we hear you. What happened? The landlord came for his rent?
Dude. Oh man, my phone died. I tried to charge it. Dude, I gotta tell you, I hate technology.
Yeah,
technology. He hates technology.
I got it plugged into my laptop. I'm thinking it's charging. It died, so the laptop wasn't charging it, and then it goes to another phone. It's overheated, so it won't charge no more. It's beautiful.
Yo, this is beautiful.
Go to another phone.
You know,
Good thing you got two phones, Johnny.
yeah,
You're like,
you know, it takes me back to fun facts with Syphax.
Horrendous. Oh my God.
this is classic John.
It is.
This is classic John. This is what it is.
You were Jerry Lewis reincarnated.
For the technical difficulties, people,
Dude,
you know.
This wasn't even planned, bro. Like,
No.
this is how good this is. It wasn't even planned. That's great.
No.
So anyway, John,
Yeah.
you were talking about your boy Andre, okay? And his
yeah.
feedback on
Okay.
the Street Journal. All right.
Thank you for giving me up to speak, because I would never got back on my own. And so-
I got you, brother. I got you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, man.
So he didn't tell me that it was deep enough, the characters. So I said that to George, and George was like, "Well, I think you got a point. You know, that's he may have a point." So I said, "Well, let's rewrite the whole thing,
Right.
raise it to a higher level, and try to turn what we consider a classic to be a masterpiece, and really develop these characters and go deep with it." And that's when me and George said, "All right, we'll start from the beginning, and we're gonna have a fresh look at this. And whatever changes we have to do, we got to make them. And whatever we have to go in the story to make it the best story, we're
Right.
going to do it." And that's what we've been working on the script for the past, about year and a half?
Yeah,
Well,
about a year. I think about a year.
Yeah.
Sweet. So now that we established that, let's talk about, you have like, maybe it's just me, you have like 1 billion projects on your website.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's like crazy. I got so many projects. One other thing I did, I'm actually taking on clients to develop their projects on top of my projects. I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but you know, it's some income, so I gotta juggle it, and you know, so it's a lot of great stuff.
Wait. So wait. Let's talk about
Future Scope.
Yeah, Future Scope. So
Talk about Future Scope.
why the title Future Scope? And what Michael just said, Anibal was not an original. No, he wasn't the original New Kids members. I think we were like it was like Menudo. We're like Menudo. He was like the second wave of Menudo. So no, he was.
When the voice change, you got to switch them out.
Yes, once the voice cracks, it's over.
Yeah, that's it. It's over. You got to change them up, switch them up.
Yes. So where did Future Scope come from? Why that name?
Well, the Future Scope was basically the concept of this is the future of comics. I'm trying to create products that are very different, as best as I could create them, to be different, and kind of edgier comics that would tell stories that are the stories that I want to tell without necessarily a filter or without necessarily being politically correct. George will tell you, I think that's the worst words on the face of the earth is PC. I hate it. I can't stand PC. I don't like clean writing that's done just to be clean, to avoid or try to cuddle the storyline. I can't stand that. So I wanted to tell stories that will come from my heart, that you either love them or you don't, but they're trying to do a new type of storytelling in comic book as best as I could deliver.
So why
and
take?
Then I had the tagline. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I had the tagline, the future of comics, but then Image took my tagline. So.
Is that what it is? They snatched it up?
I did. They actually had. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Image. I love you.
No, he's not. Go after him. Here's his address.
Send him that letter.
Send him the letter.
I'm
Cease
kidding, y'all.
and desist.
Image. I'm totally kidding.
So why take on so many projects instead of why that direction instead of finish one, get that out, build some momentum, and then
The
move
interesting
on?
thing about it is that is a fault and an Achilles heel of mine as a creator. I'm not gonna lie. I'll write a story and then I'll be like, oh, I have this next idea. Let me get this down on paper. Oh, I have this next idea. And then I don't focus on anything, especially my prose. Also, and I've got to be honest with myself, I'm a very self-conscious writer. I really want to have it perfect. I'm always second guessing what I write. So I'll backpedal before I think it's ready. But if you keep doing that, you'll never put it out because they'll never be ready. Your children will never be as good as you think they should be because you have that much love and passion for the project. So I have to discipline myself to say, all right, good, bad, and different. I got to let the kids out. I got to let them do what they do and not try to be so protective of them. So that's a stumbling block I got to get over. You know, I'm lucky because George beats me up about that. So he keeps me in check.
Tell us about some of the other projects, Johnny, you have down the pipe, because I know Sam spoke about all the stuff you have on your website, but give us a breakdown of some of these projects that you have.
Okay, well, one is Celestine. Well, I'll tell you a few, but one is Celestine, and she is like a huntress type of lady, who's part of a council who sends her out to kill demons that possess different people who are evil or have horrible intent. Then there's another one called Zion 3, where 3 different individuals get mystic weapons to fight against a group of bad guys or enemies that are coming to try to kill them, and they are direct descendants of someone who fought with Hannibal, the General Hannibal. So that's one story. And then there's another one called using a character that actually Annabelle blessed me to be able to put in a book called, I called him Scully, but it's like a skeleton type of character in like kind of a black suit. And that's a pro 3-card Scully. And I just love the character so much. I said, dude, can I use him in the story? And Annabelle was like, all right, cool. So that's another pro story that I'm doing. And there's a few others, but those are the primary titles.
Do you have anything that's completed right now?
Street Journal and the Future Scope Showcase, which is actually 3 snippets of stories that introduce you to the stories that Future Scope is putting out, all compilated into one anthology. The preview book of Street Journal that leads to the first issue is actually one of the 3 stories. So that's interesting. And that one, that book is selling pretty well, and people really gave great feedback on that. And Street Journal especially is the one that people really liked and waiting for. And I have to compliment George on that a great deal, because I would love to take the credit and say, hey, I created this thing and it's live because I created it.
You should take the credit, bro. You did create that. You did a great job with that. Yeah, that's your book, bro. Take the credit.
George did a fantastic job of the cover. He did. Like, it's a book that is packaged in a way where I don't have to really try to convince anybody to buy it.
I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the cover. It sounds like I drew it. I did enjoy it.
But he designed it fantastic.
Well, we all know how George feels about drawing, right? So we talked about it. We talked about it in a previous episode where George's been traumatized with some feedback. But even though I've always liked his style, if you had, and we also know that one of the things that George is really talented with it's packaging a book and a product. He has that skill.
Thank you, Sam.
I've always been an admirer of that. But John, if you had an ultimatum, right? And he said you can only do one book and get it done 100%, where would you put your eggs? Which basket?
Street Journal, no question. Street Journal. We had there's a cool dude that we know called David Keyless, and he had a great saying.
The Wolf.
Yes. And he said, everyone has a Driving Miss Daisy. And we asked him, what do you mean a Driving Miss Daisy? He said, well, Driving Miss Daisy was that director. I forgot who did the movie, but that was his ultimate, Platoon would be Oliver Stone's Driving Miss Daisy, for example, things like that. And I think Street Journal is our golden goose. I think that's our Driving Miss Daisy. That's it. I would be surprised if I could beat that mark, and especially trying to write a story of my own. Like, that was just lightning in a bottle. It came at the right time. It was without any barriers or any fear, and it was told the way it was supposed to be told. And to try to plan to do that again, I don't know if it can happen like that.
Well, what would you like to see happen with your product? Like this year, basically, it's we could just scratch it off as 2020 was the year of like what the right. So it's like I think everyone's like, all right, let's wait and see what happens. Where's the next wave coming? Whatever. So we don't know what this year's going to bring. We're trying to get hopefully we get through this year. 2021. Have you started thinking about what you want to see happen with your projects in 2021? Because you're putting in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. This is your passion. I've known you for over 10 years. I think, what is it, 15 years,
we go
whatever.
way back,
15 years, whatever. So,
damn, 15 years.
yeah, no, right? We're all going to be in walkers. It's like, remember when we were doing comics? So, it's like, what is your ultimate goal? Why do it? What do you want to get from it?
Well, I am very much, and me, I say this to George all the time, and anybody that talks to me will know this about me. I really believe in entrepreneurship. I mean, if you got to work for someone, I respect that. But to me, if you don't own your own joint, you're done. Especially in this economy, it's kind of how I look at it. So what I want to do is be able to sell enough books and build enough of a brand where the value of the brand produces passive income that could be able to support me without having to work a job. So now all I do is what I love from sun up to sundown.
So now I'm going to poke the bear.
Go ahead.
I'm going to poke the bear, John. I'm going to poke the bear, right? Yeah. So why not just focus on Street Journal? Why not just commit 100%, see it through from start to finish?
Well, the thing about it is one part of it also is me trying to test myself with at least one of my products where it's all me to see if I'm improving. Because the tough thing about it is the great thing about Street Journal is I get to work with George and other people, but specifically George, who pushes me to be a better writer. So that's the fantastic thing about Street Journal. But the flip side of that coin is I can't gauge whether I'm a better writer because if you have a great quote unquote wingman next to you, it's hard to know how great you are at what you do because you're not really doing it by yourself.
Well, let's flip the script. Right? So sometimes, there's like a means to an end, right? So the best way to gauge that, it's the consumer, right? That's your target market, right? It's that third party that's going to see it, not know who you are, don't know anything about George, just look at that product, right? And they're going to judge it based on the merits, and they're going to be able to see through the story, through the heart of the story, how much passion was put into it if they fall in love with the characters in the book. Why not let that be your gauge, your metric? Build that reputation, gain that credibility, a following to create that launch pad towards the next project rather than spreading yourself thin because you want to validate yourself. But I think your validation is finishing this book and seeing it 100% because we know you, but we also know the project. And I've seen it, David's seen it, Annabelle's seen it, George. It's a really good project. So why not just finish it and let that be your guide?
See, Johnny, I gotta say this, John. I gotta say this. You're talking about validation, and I think that as a creator and as a writer, sometimes, especially when you're not a pro yet, you have those fears, right? Like, damn, am I good enough to even play in that ballpark? Yeah. So. But I'll tell you this, I've been around John for years, and so has Sam. We've known you for a long time. Dude, you're a great writer, bro. You have very deep ideas. The thing that you have to do, I think Sam hit it on there, you got to finish. Yeah. It's about finishing, right? You recently got hired to work on a dude's book. He didn't mention this, but that's what we're trying to get you to talk about. I'm sorry. He recently got a gig writing this gentleman's book. He asked him to write what, a one-shot, John?
Yes. Yeah, but he actually, the project will be in the future, but yes. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So he wrote this book for this dude, right? got paid for it. As far as I'm concerned, you're pro now, right? You got paid for that book. I read I read like a page out of the thing. Dude, it's great. It really is. There weren't any like misspellings, typos, kind of silly stuff that you kind of miss when you're writing your own stuff. And it looks great. The artist has sent some pages in. It looks great. I think the validation, dude, you don't need it. You know what I mean? It's just about what Sam says. It's about finishing that book, and you just got to finish. You just got to put your stuff out there and finish it. Yeah.
Nah, I appreciate y'all support. I really do, especially coming from both of y'all. It really means a lot. It's tough to try to get to that point where you could kind of stand, at least for me, where you could stand with that work and say, yeah, I could do this. Or because I will say this in my writing, George Keston's little pieces that really kind of makes a difference and elevates it. So what I ask myself is, okay, if I wrote this, I would have put it out this way. George caught that little piece to elevate it. Would I have caught that piece had George not been there? And that's what the question.
So.
Right, but then
I think what I do is easy, bro. You're doing the hard work. You're writing the initial. All I'm doing is just, hey, that sounds like it could sound like this. Okay, let's do it like that. But you're doing the hard work, bro. What I'm doing is not.
Oh, thank you.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just not.
Yes, Daphne Lage said on Facebook that you need to respect your craft, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that's very frustrating, I guess, in her eyes is when an artist wants to go back and redo something that they did because of fear of what people are going to think about that illustration. Mm. You can't worry about it. At the moment, you know, I mean, you've done draft after draft after draft. At a certain point, you just have to move on from the draft and go into the final, right? So, and you let that be the test for you. You know what I mean? What's the worst that's going to happen?
It's true.
What's the worst going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is you started and finished the project, you got it published, and you got it out into the market. Now, from that point on, the market will decide what the future of it, the product. You can't go back and say, oh, I just sent it to the printers, but I want to rewrite that last chapter. You can't do it. You got to let it go.
Ironically, John, it was that finished book, the Future Scope Showcase, that got him the gig to write that other book. Because that person read the book, saw the finished product, and said, dude, looks like you can write. I want you to write a story for me. So that's the moral right there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You got a finished book. People are gonna look, and you can't hide talent, John. You can't hide talent.
And we all have that fear factor. Now, there's nobody that I know that is not in the back of their mind afraid of whether or not what they did is quality, what they did is going to be attractive to somebody else, whether or not people are going to buy it, going to be afraid of that critic that reviews it. Every one of us has that fear. That's the great thing about it. But that fear should be a motivation, not a deterrent. And you have a really good project. My recommend to you, because it is a good project, is just see it through. See it through 100% and then move on to the next project. Yo, I mean, you have an opportunity now. You just did a project that George was just talking about for a third party, right? That sought you out, hired you to do a project. That's the market talking to you. That's the universe telling you, we see you. Now build on that momentum, but finish your project. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want y'all to hear this. Sam, the Crazy Man Vera, co-signed my direction along with George the Dreamer Medina. It's going to happen. I'm committed.
Johnny, send us your address. We're going to send you a bill.
Yes. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills?
We just had with you. The minute you make that bill, bro.
That's it.
Hours too. My father said I couldn't write. And
yes.
He said I should just be a mailman or something.
That next time you drop your phone is going to be my agent going to collect my check.
Johnny, Johnny, tell us a little bit about like what Sam was talking about. What are your plans though? Like what are you planning for? Like you said, next year. I know you told me something about there's a convention that you're actually going to try to go to. How's that going?
I actually am going to try to go to the Baltimore Comic-Con. According to what the gentleman told me, they still will be having it. It doesn't look like it's going to be canceled. And I'm going to try to release, not release, but self-feature scope there along with art linked to my characters, like pinups linked to my characters, which actually people was receiving pretty well. And also try to get a feature scope book in, a second one, because the material's already ready, that will introduce the client story into that future scope to also help market his book, to kind of just get a voice out there to try to build something for him simultaneously with me building something for myself. So,
are you watching TV?
In the background, dude. Yo.
I'm hearing.
I gotta explain this. My boy is mad cool, right? Look at him, like family, great guy. This dude loves shows. He's like the Jeopardy contestant of shows. He knows every actor, every actress, every show, what they did, how many Oscars they won, their blood type. Like, he knows everything. The dude knows everything.
Nice.
So he watches TV and he'll blast it to give a theatrical experience. But, if you're doing an interview, you got background music. I mean,
at first I thought you were listening to the show on a separate laptop. That's what I was hearing in the background. But then I was like, that doesn't sound like us.
John, Aniba, I'm going to read this to you. Aniba said, John is serious. John is a serious dude on Joke Society. He's very focused on his own path, respectable in his eyes. But he said Sam makes a very good point about all-out laser beam focus on one product. So that was what Aniba was saying in regards to the discussion we were having.
Right, and this goes back to your...
My brother from another mother.
And
what up? I'm sorry, I messed up your name. Know my brother for over 12 years easy. I would say close to probably 17, 18. I still can't roll the A. I'm sorry, Annabelle. I'm trying.
Yes.
I just gave it up.
So it goes back to your earlier question to me. What's happening with Duty? And what did I say? I'm focused on Catch the Craze right now. Working on Duty in the background, right? Forbidden is done. I got that 100% completed. George is lettering it. But right now it's like building this platform. So it's like what I learned from the early days of the Craze was when you take on too much, you spread yourself thin and you're never going to get anything 100% completed. So I want to be able to complete something from start to finish to get a better result. And that's why I offer you that advice is sometimes you have to say, if I ask anybody who's watching right now, how many ideas do you have? How many projects would you like to work on? Everyone's going to say, I have multiple ideas and I get all these things, but realistically, we're only human. And the best thing to do is to start something, finish it, and then move on. Right? So that's why I offer that to you.
No, it's great advice. And I got to just side note, give you credit. You doing your thing, man. When I reached out to you, I was like, yo, my brother doing this thing. I'm proud of you. You rocking and rolling. And you always did try to push me to be tougher. Like, get a thicker skin, John. I'm going to joke on you. Get a thicker skin. Be tougher. You got to be tougher. I'm going to get you tougher. It's a tough market. You got to be confident. You got to be tougher. So that toughness that you have shows in you accomplishing your goals. And I admire that a great deal, man. You're doing it. So I'm happy about that. And any advice you give, I'm ears because you're doing it.
Well, it's only out of love. I think we have history. We were the original crew back in the days, and we were. I remember that day when we started doing cons together, and I remember all those sessions in the basement or in the makeshift offices and at Catherine Gibbs. I remember.
Was the original.
Yes, I remember when George first came with his sculpt of Russ, and that was at a Starbucks when he presented it to us. Yes. Yes.
The guy who sculpted, he's a police officer in New Rochelle, right? And it's just consequently that one of my best friends knows them. They're cops together in the force, and I'm like, how the hell did that happen? And this was before I even knew him.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that sculptor was that sculptor was good. Yeah, it was really good. I forgot about that.
Yes, I remember the road trips, the crazy road trips. You know, I mean, so there's a lot of history, but I do know that with everything, there's some things that we have our own demons, and I know that you have demons. But I can tell you this, and this is no fluff from me, from anybody that knows you. You got a good property. You have a property that has tremendous potential. Finish it, John. Finish it. Your job right now is to finish that project, and then let George do what he does best and market the hell out of it. And then see what happens.
I appreciate that. Definitely to my two brothers and my other brother Annabelle and my extended brothers in the comic community. I definitely appreciate that. And definitely, it always feels good to be back to Crazy and with the crew. Like it really does. I'm happy to link up with my brothers from another mother and just keep moving, man. We rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I know your knee was watching. Check out the bicep, though. Check out.
Oh, let me see the bicep. Let's see the bicep. Come on.
Look at the guns, bro.
Oh, wait. Drum. Where was the drums? Come on. Uh-oh.
This kid hit us with the
It was like, whoa. It was like 3. Look at that.
Johnny hasn't had a good meal in like 10 years. This kid is still Diesel.
I know.
I don't understand.
Shit, I'm in the basement pumping up. I can't even get that. I was like, what
never get the definition, bro. I don't understand.
And that's just not working out at 43. No, going on 46 years old.
Seriously, dude. That is great. John Diesel, a.k.a. the Psycho Syphax, man.
Yes.
Live.
You know what? I remember, John.
For all the ladies that saw that, I'm single.
All the single ladies. So I remember. So John, you don't realize how naturally funny you are. So, but I also know that you're always uncomfortable with being funny, and I know what I appreciate about when we first did Catch the Craze podcast. I would purposely put you and myself in awkward positions to do just things ad lib, and you used to go crazy. No, we're gonna embarrass ourselves. No, we're gonna embarrass it. And then I hit record, and then you go in.
It's over.
I gotta tell you something, man. This is the truth with me. If there's people I'm cool with or I love, and I don't know if this is a strength or weakness, but if it's going to make them smile and make them happy and give them a moment before I close my eyes, that'll give joy to them. I don't care about kind of embarrassing myself when the camera's on for people that I love. Now, if you ain't family, then I ain't doing it for you. But to me, those moments I keep and create with people I love is worth more than what the person thinks on the latest scheme. I'll take that, but I got that moment with the people I love. And for me, one day I may not have, let's say, money or whatever the case may be, but I will always have that moment with that person. I hope that when I close my eyes, my brothers could say, yo, you remember when John did that? He had us laughing. Yo, we was down, but he did that silly skit, or he did that for the family.
Yeah.
That's split. Just hearing Anibal in the background. Oh, we did the split. That was hilarious. Hilarious.
Because it came out of nowhere. We knew he was going to do a dance. We knew that he was going to go out there. He said, I'm going to do a dance. I'm like, all right, John. Well, you'll do a dance. Let's see it, record it. And then this dude goes out there, does the MC Hammer joint, and then he does a little turn, and wham, hit the floor. And then he got up. I was like, oh!
Dude, I didn't know I was going to get up. I'll be honest. I was like, y'all may have to help me.
You crazy, son.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Well, we had some funny moments. I mean,
absolutely,
dude. I remember making the crazy sign in the floor of Sam's basement, and I felt like, I'll be honest, Sam's my boy, so I did it. But I felt like the dudes on the Chain Gang and Life, where they breaking the Bronx with the mallet. I was like, what are we doing, man? Like, you're breaking little pieces. And what?
Yes.
Like, what?
You know it was official.
Yeah, the scene starting to curve to a W and whatnot. And I'm like, what are we doing? What?
Yeah.
But I went with that.
Just to put it in context for anybody who's listening, when we first moved into the condo, we had a basement, and so we tiled the floors, and I broke the tiles, and we created the symbol of the Crazy Comics logo on the middle of the floor of my office. And Jonathan was with me working on cracking those tiles, and Jonathan was with me framing the basement and the whole bit, putting up sheetrock and everything. Yes.
Jonathan is Aniba said, John is also sappy. Oh boy, I gotta go brush my teeth, all that sweetness. I was like,
I'm a
he's
softie.
laying on thick. He's a softie.
I'm a softie. But I'll be honest too. Me and my brothers, we will argue like cats and dogs when we're passionate about something. But at the end of the day, that's what family does. I just accept that. That's what family does. They'll argue today and they'll go to war together tomorrow. It's just part of it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't care. I'd rather the people tell me that love me, tell me what they feel and be honest with me and truthful so I could build on that than to smile in my face and they really hurting about something I did and that cause a divide over time that can't be fixed. You know,
right. So, John, where did Fun Facts with Syphax come from?
That's good. I like that one. I'm very proud of my little messed up little facts. I gotta tell you, okay, this is what it is. If I tell you a fact, unless it's about books, it's 100% true. Well, 97% true. If it's about books. If it has anything to do with anything else, only 50% of that shit should be believed.
That's the fun part of it.
That's the fun part.
Fun fact. It could be a fact. It may be a fact.
It may be a fact.
Yes. So for those of you who've never seen the original shows of Cast the Craze, or have listened to it, you should go back and listen to some of them in the archives. Jonathan would be passionate about a subject. Yeah. Forcing myself or George to Google and look up the correct answer because he was.
How many links he owes me? I'll send you the link.
Because he would say, this is 100% true. And then you go and you research it. It isn't.
It is 20% true.
There's some of it, there's some truth in it.
I'll use an example of Jonathan Fun Fact. Spike Jones created Do the Right Thing. That's a Jonathan Fun Fact. Now, we know that Spike Lee, but hey, Lee Jones, there's a spike in it. It works. So the spike somewhere in that sentence, it works.
Oh, where he would say, this is the Crazy Comics podcast. It's like, no, it isn't. Or he says, Cast the Crazy podcast. No, it
isn't. Don't tell me to say the name of your program. It's getting trashed. I'm just telling you that right now.
Yeah. And he was asking for old video footage.
Oh, I have a video of George live at a New York Comic Con, and he says, "This is Sam the Dreamer Medina."
Oh, damn! See how you incepted me, bro? Jesus, you're a witch.
Me and Sam planned that, actually. We were going to say that. We planned that on.
I was like, wait, what did he just say? I had to play it back. I was like, what did he just say?
And then, but Sam never erased anything. So he didn't erase that.
I got everything. I got footage. I have footage when we were so we went to San Diego Comic Con for the first time, and we were not that bright. And we booked a hotel that was it's probably in another state, right? So we booked a hotel that was so far away from the con and it was so far away from the bus stop that I have video of us walking with all of our props and our luggage for like 20 minutes in the dark, trying to get to the hotel over a bridge on the highway, and we get there and we're beat when we get to the hotel, and we had to walk back to get to the trolley or the bus to go to San Diego. I have all that.
You know what's crazy about that? I would do that again today.
Yes, that was fun.
Like if we went back out, yeah, I would do it. I swear, if you told me, yo, we're going to San Diego next year, and we had to do that, I would do it again.
That would be awesome.
I seriously would.
Oh, I got a story for y'all. Y'all gonna love this one. Well, I was broke at the airport in San Diego after going to Vegas.
Oh, dude. John went to Vegas by himself. Remember that?
Oh, did he like pick up a girl or something? What happened? Something happened. You picked up some. He's like, hey, I'm coming with somebody. I'm like, what?
Dude, I gotta tell this part.
Man.
I'm at the airport and I get my check the following day, and we do a show, so I'll make money following day. But I got like $10 in my pocket. I didn't buy a woman, and I didn't do any gambling. I don't know where the money went, but it went.
Okay.
In like 2 days, literally like hundreds of dollars in 2 days. So I'm at the airport, and my flight lands early. I didn't know that Sam is getting in like 10 o'clock at night, like real late. And Sam told me, oh, just go to the hotel. They'll let you in. My name is now. I told them, you're good. I go to the hotel, and they say, oh, we can't let you in. Sam got to check in first. I'm like, but Sam ain't here until the the sun come down. What am I going to do from like 10 o'clock? Oh, well, we don't know. We can't help you, but you got to wait until Sam comes. I go to the airport, and I'm sitting there chilling, and I call Sam, and I'm like, so the plane ain't scheduled to crash or nothing, right? Sam, I'm like, you got to get here, right? You got to get here. And Sam's like, what's the problem? He said, because if you don't show up, I'm in the street for 24 hours in San Francisco. I mean, in San Diego. I'm sorry, San Diego. And Sam busts out laughing. No remorse at all. He don't have to feel
I need money because to that girl that you said that you didn't spend any money with him. He goes, he's sticking to his story. That chick got his ass.
she took your money. She took your money.
She took your money. She got you, son. You got
Hey, I got to come up with something to cover it up. You know,
little Lisa was too good to be true.
I remember first him saying, hey, I met somebody. And then all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I'm broke.
I had nothing. Oh, my God. I had nothing. Nothing. And then we get to the restaurant. This is the great thing. We get to the restaurant the next day because I'm still broke. Because it hangs over. We go to the restaurant, a real fancy restaurant. So I say to Sam, Sam, we could cover this? And Sam's like, I could cover this.
I think I ordered water.
We had a great sales day. At San Diego. So I said, yo, let's go. So we walked into the restaurant, and John was having a conniption about going into this restaurant. He goes, oh, that's too expensive. I'm not going in there. But I said, come on, John. And we go, I don't know, we just lost George. Oh, there he goes. And we just switch sides. And I'm like, come on, John, let's go. And so we go in there. He looks at the menu. He sees the prices. Now, mind you, we're paying for it. It's on Crazy Comics. We made the sales. We sold the books. And he ordered water. I was like,
I just have some water.
He's like, I'm not going to blow our hard-earned money. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
The great thing about that is, I got to tag something on that. The great thing about that is, I go to the lady and I said, excuse me, do we have to pay for water? She said, no. So I did.
He did ask that. Do we have to pay for water?
Yeah, she said, no, it's free. I said, water on me for everybody, yo.
Yeah, John, you're special.
I'd do it again, bro. I would do it again. Dude.
It was some fun times.
It was great. It was great. There was some great moments, man. Great moments.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. But hopefully after all this is over and the pandemic and all that, hopefully we'll be able to get back out there on the road and stuff like that. Yeah. And we should definitely do some shows together.
Yes, let's go and do a Menudo reunion.
Yeah, for sure.
A Menudo, the old Menudo, the new Menudo. I'm Ricky Martin. No, wait, not the. Wait, the cool Ricky.
Dirty.
But I.
Dirty.
Living la vida loca. But yeah. So hopefully this pandemic goes away. Hopefully this second wave gets under control, and we can all because this thing is crazy. Not being able to go out and just
The
be human.
The craziest thing about the pandemic to me is how outside of the protest, how some people have not changed their views.
No.
They still have the same
No.
kind of separated 200 plus year old antiquated views. And that's wild to me because the pandemic to me leveled everything out. It's like, it don't matter whether you're white, black, Chinese, woman, it don't matter. You can get that virus and you could die. It doesn't care about your color and stuff. And yet, when people need to come together the most is a time where people are still holding on to their views, foolish views and prejudices the tightest. Which makes no sense to me.
It goes back to values.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
When your immortality challenged, stuff like that should immediately go out the window.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I think it just goes back to values, and I think it's one planet is the only planet we have, and the planet is resetting, and it's saying cut the crap because you're pissing me off. And we're too stubborn to realize that the planet can say, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to reset like we did with the dinosaurs. It's time for you to go. So it is what it is. But I am glad that everybody's healthy and safe. I know a lot of people that can't say the same. That have been victims of this pandemic. And so I just say this is why, even though I'm healthy, I still drink my concoction that has a lot of stuff that George is like, what's in there?
Stop selling it.
Hey.
You were on your deathbed, bro.
I was on my, when that first hit, I was quarantined for 15 days. And what got me through it was no medicine. Was this, ladies and gentlemen. So this is green tea with turmeric, with ginger, with cinnamon, with apple cider vinegar, with lemon juice, what else? Oregano oil, black seed oil, and it's all there. And I put it in, I let it boil together, and a little bit of honey, and I let it boil, and I put it together and I drink it, and it helps me. Especially wearing these masks for long periods of time gives me bloody noses. So it dries out my nostrils, and then 5 hours later I'm like draining. So this helps ward off the demons. I got it from a witch's brew remedy.
I believe that.
Dude, you should market that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Call it the Sam Tea. Sam Tea experience and sell it.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Yo, guys, I'm about to pull a John. My phone's about to die, so I don't know if you guys want to.
So, John, anything you want us to take away from this? What can we expect from the Psycho Syphax?
All right. There's a lot of great developments coming out. We got Zion 3 coming out, another Future Scope book. Zion vs. Bloodlust, one of my main villains in the story that we're working on. I would say I'm really going to focus, like my brother said, on Street Journal and really build everything on that. Follow Street Journal because it's really going to be I think
so I want to get it on. I want to get it on video. I want to get it live right here. So timeline. When do you expect to have it completed? Street Journal. Nothing else.
I would say the latest by 2001. What do you say, George?
Whoa,
2001. Wow.
2001.
Wow. 2001.
Whoa, that's back. Latest 2021.
I think he thinks it's 1998.
2021.
Yeah, but when, like when? When in 2021? That's a broad stroke.
I'll say the latest December. I'll say, what do you say, George?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about having the book completed or just the art or just the story,
like everything, like literally, we could release it.
Yeah, probably end of the year next year.
All right, for Christmas 2021.
Yeah, I think that artist is we're gonna have to find a good one.
Yes. So Christmas 2021, Street Journal will be underneath my tree.
Oh, yeah, nice.
That's what I'm saying.
we're gonna do a special variant cover, one with special one for Street Journal, and then we're gonna have one with Fuzz, Ty, and Duty. Just for you.
Poor Johnny.
We're gonna have a whole page.
So,
Oh my God.
so I'm really great to have you on the show again, and to catch up,
Thank
John.
you. Thank you, my brother.
I missed you. Glad to see that you're kicking into high gears and people are coming after you to help them with their projects. But I wish you nothing but much success, and I'm sure that once this thing is freed up, you, myself, and Royals Compollos and George will get together and meet up, and we'll do another reunion show with the four of us.
There's a box missing on the screen, bro. There's a box missing on the screen.
Yes,
right there. We have a
yes.
little box right at the bottom.
Yes, we got to get Mr. O'Royals up in here. And but much success to you. I wish you a lot the best. I'm really proud of what you've done.
That really means a lot from my big bro. So that really means a lot. A whole lot. And it definitely feels good to be back in the crazy comic family, seeing you do your thing on Catch the Craze and just in general. And, we got a special thing as a unit and as founders of what was done here. This, we're doing something special. So definitely got to be back on and keep working together to rock and roll it,
Cool.
So,
and so for everyone out there, if you see right behind George, the big 200, right, coming soon, episode number 200. This is a milestone for us. We want to celebrate big. I want to say thank you to the 32 new subscribers on our YouTube channel. We added 32 in 28 days. We want to get to 200. We're currently at 132 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So if we can get that gap filled so we can celebrate the big 2, we're going to be raffling off stuff on the live show. We're going to have some guest appearances. We're going to have a major announcement. It's going to be an extravaganza. It's going to be a party. So we're going to have a party in August celebrating the big 200. And I'm excited about that, and I truly appreciate your support. Remember, hit subscribe. Reach out to Jonathan Syphax. Where can they reach you, Mr. Syphax?
they can reach me at Futurescope Comics and Entertainment. My website on which is set to go on that. Also my page on Facebook, Jonathan Syphax, along with the various fan pages, which is Futurescope Showcase has a fan page, Celestine and Zion 3, various other works.
And where can they get your anthology?
Right now, the anthology, if you send a message to me, you can pay for it through PayPal, and I will mail it right to you. I'm setting up to have it available online for purchase. I'm actually speaking with some individuals on that, and hopefully I'll be able to set it up for sale directly from my website.
Perfect. Any last words, George?
That's it, guys, and thank you to all of the guests that we've had on the 50 shows of the second half that we've interviewed. Thank you guys very much for the support, and yeah, catch the craze.
Yes, and now we're gonna cut to our end credits.
It's just easy. It's not. Crazy. I'm so crazy. You so crazy.
Acquiesce.
Crazy.
No, it's about my friend acquiesce. Man, say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
You describing? He said, I'm the
You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.